getting started. There you go. Thank you. Let me pull up the phone alerts.
Yeah.
But there's no script.
There's a plug on the wall behind you. Like towards the corner, not like the corner.
Oh, yeah, okay. Thanks for having fun with me today. All right.
We're enjoying every minute. So I'm not gonna switch it.
All right, that's it. Okay. You can get me a 12-foot extension. Okay. Yeah. You don't have that in your Swiss Army knife? All right, let's get rolling. So I will call this meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission, 5th of August, to order. We'll take a quick roll call, which will be very quick given the number of people here. I'm Steve Thornquist. I'm a regular member and the chair.
Bob Harrison, regular member.
Brad Bookta, alternate.
All right, so we will vote to seat the alternate, shall
I move that we vote. Seat Brad as an alternate, as a regular member for this meeting.
we? All right, and I second that. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? All right. Brad, welcome. Thank you for being here. I think I should probably turn this on, huh? There we go. Sorry for those of you playing at home. We just installed Brad Bookta as our additional member here. So we have 3 members, which does constitute a quorum for regular business. So let's start with the wrong agenda. Perfect. We're going to start with, well, the agendas are parallel. We got the roll call. We have the review and approval of the last meeting's minutes. Did you guys review?
Mhm.
Are there any corrections?
No comments.
Any comments? I agree there are no corrections I would make, so I will take a motion to approve the minutes as they are written.
I move that they be accepted as written.
All right, I'll second that. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, and as an abstention.
I abstain.
Will we have to review those the next month? Because there's only 2 that can vote yes.
We will probably have to review them next month.
So we
Good
should
point.
table approval of the minutes until next month.
All right, good point. Thank you. I forgot about Brad not being able to do the vote. All right, fine. All right, next is Publications Commission action. There's no publications to report. We'll go over the ZEO activity at the end of the meeting, if that's okay with everyone. No correspondence, except for we did receive a final report from QVHD regarding the properties at 43 and 51 Russell Road. It's dated August 5th, 2026. For the purposes of clarity and fairness, I will read this in its entirety when we open that item of business. So that, because that, I mean, we just got this literally. So I can't expect you all to have had a chance to read it, including you all. We'll review and approve the bills. The first bill is for our recording secretary, Donna Cahill, for $150 for tonight's recording for the public hearings.
I make a motion to pay that.
I'll second.
And I will then call for a vote. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? There we go. So you're quite welcome. That will go in here too. That's where I put that. That's good. I was thinking. Yeah, that. Sorry, I don't have a secretary. All right. Exhibit A. All right. The next item of business is the invoice for July services from Hiram Peck for $2,000. That was in the packet. You should have seen it.
Mhm.
I'll take a motion on that.
I make a motion to approve Hiram's, payment of Hiram's invoice.
I will second that.
All right, those in favor, any discussion? Nope. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? All right,
Thank you, Hiram.
thank you, Hiram. And now we will go to the public hearings that have been scheduled for which I assume you all are here.
Early.
The first item of business is the continued public hearing regarding application 26-2 SP, a special permit submission for a house of worship at 43 and 51 Russell Road, submitted by Samuel Tauble and Hopbrook Storage LLC in the B&I zone. Parcel number MBL 113-46. Okay. Let me start by reading that QVHD document because that I think is something important for everyone. It is it was sent by email today, 5th, to Samuel Tauble, Bill Grieger, Kurt Bosco, and Carol Goldberg for selectmen. It's regarding the formal notice of use and maximum occupancy and the change of use septic permit number 4318 at 43 and 51 Russell Road, Bethany, Connecticut. Dear Pastor Tauble, Mr. Grieger, Mr. Bosco, and First Selectman Goldberg, the Quinnipiac Valley Health District is issuing this letter to formally document the change of use and maximum occupancy of 41 and 53 Russell Road, Bethany, Connecticut. After formal reviews of the septic system and declarations of use by William Grieger, owner, and Samuel Tauble, tenant, we have determined that the maximum occupancy of 180 people per gathering is acceptable. Limitations to this change of use are described in this permit and are as follows. No cooking shall be allowed on premises, no Sunday school classes on site, and not to be used as an office space. They base their calculations on the square footage of the current system. QVHD has done a formal review of the system in place and proposed use. Calculations are as follows. Current system, 1,250 gallon H20 tank connected to 34 linear feet of 12-inch concrete galleries with crushed stone, which equates to a total coverage of 200.6 square feet. The proposed use per Connecticut technical standards on page 24, a place of worship is 1 gallon per day per person. With 180 people, this equates to 180 gallons per day. 180 gallons per day divided by 1.5, the application rate in table 8 on page 46 of the technical standards, equals 120 square feet. Conclusion, full occupancy has been determined by the fire marshal to equal 180 persons. If full occupancy has been met, 120 square feet of the allowed 200.6 square feet for the system will be used at each full occupancy gathering, signifying the system can handle the proposed usage. Further, an inspection from our per diem inspector, Brian Slugowski, RS, registered sanitation officer? Sanitarian, thank you. Certifies that the warehouse has no kitchens or office spaces installed. Additionally, Samuel Tauble has declared that Stillwater Community Church has an office space located at 41 Village Lane in Bethany, Connecticut, and will continue to use that space for their 3 employees. We do not have jurisdiction to limit the amount of gatherings per week. As discussed, this permit change of use allows for the maximum occupancy of 180 people per day. Please direct questions and or concerns to Santiago Perez Gomez, Chief of Environmental Services, and it's signed by Luis Pantoja, Director of Health, CEO, Quinnipiac Valley Health District. We will make sure copies get made available to anyone who wants them, but literally this is all I have right now. So, and please feel free to have me reread parts of that if you want to reference it at some point. We also have, again, dated today, a more complete permit of approving the addition, conversion, change in use, garage, accessory structure, or swimming pool granted to Samuel Taubel from QVHD to describe the work at 43 and 51 Russell Road. This is dated today, although it was paid for back in June. Description of proposal, change of use / occupancy. Per square footage and maximum occupancy, warehouse will be converted from an office space to a place of worship with maximum occupancy at 180 people per gathering. Per conversation and statements, no cooking will be conducted and will not be converted to office space or Sunday school. Maximum 180 people per day, including clergy and staff. Apparently this is dated and approved on May 20th, 2026. It was prepared by Samuel Taubel and signed by Santiago Perez today. That's also available for inspection for anyone who wants to look at it. That will be Exhibit B. All right. So, I'm going to take the privilege of asking if the church wants to update any of their previous comments, just to give us a reset of where we are, and then I will have the community come forward with their comments. I want to thank those who submitted written stuff ahead of time. The detail on a lot of that was very good and very helpful, and very good at orienting us towards what the concerns in the community are. So I appreciate that too. Does the church want to have someone speak? Okay, then let's hear from the community. Is there anyone else who wants to say something on this? You'll come forward, please. Take the little mic that's here, and please identify yourself, your address.
Stephanie Wild, 61 Russell Road, and here's a copy of what I prepared in advance. So I just want to thank you for continuing the hearing and allowing additional time to address the questions raised by on the last hearing. Since then, I have reviewed the additional materials in the record. Some useful information has been added, but several important issues remained unresolved. In response to the commission's request, I submitted a written assessment in advance. Because that document is super detailed, I will focus tonight on the most significant evidence gaps. Before turning to those gaps, though, I would like to address I'm not going to say this acronym right, so RLUIPA directly, that law. It is an important civil rights law. It requires religious and non-religious assembly uses to be treated equally, but it does not exempt an applicant from zoning review. Traffic, parking, capacity, hours, and intensity remain valid zoning concerns when the same standards are applied fairly. This is what I'm asking the commission to do. Apply the Bethany's regulations as written and require the evidence needed to show compliance, no more, no less. My concern remains the same as it was last hearing. Whether the proposed use complies with the town's regulations at the maximum level of activity that could be authorized. Within the last year, the property owners have asked this commission to recognize the site's more than 50-year history of low intensity industrial use. That use has coexisted with Russell Road's primarily residential neighborhood. A high occupancy assembly would be a major departure from the activity this road has historically supported. Current attendance may be 40 to 50 people, but the relevant measure is the maximum occupancy and activity the permit would authorize, whether that is 180 people or another clearly defined and enforceable limit. Bethany's POCD calls for development that is compatible with the land, the road, and the surrounding neighborhood. It describes rural roads as narrow and lightly traveled and supports low density, low impact, controlled growth, including stronger site development standards in the B&I zone. approving a use of this intensity could permanently change how Russell Road functions and how nearby residents experience it. Because those consequences may be difficult to reverse, the record should clearly define the use being authorized and demonstrate that the property and road can support it. So that brings me to the unresolved concerns on which I am seeking the commission's clarification. All right, so my first concern is the proposed use is not clearly defined, although it seems like the permit that was submitted helps in this favor. But the record describes different levels and types of activity. The statement of use estimates about 50 attendees. The previous QVHD permit identified a maximum of 100 people with no food, office use, or Sunday school. The fire marshal identified an occupancy of 180. But the record does not clearly state whether the enforceable occupancy limit the applicant is requesting. At the same time, the applicant's materials and testimony describes a kid's church, and the fit-out plan shows 3 classrooms or meeting rooms. So those differences matter because parking, septic, capacity, traffic, safety, noise, and neighborhood impacts must all be evaluated against the same proposed use. So my first question is, will the commission require one final enforceable description of the proposed use supported by the appropriate agency approvals before the hearing is closed?
You want an answer now, or do you want to finish and then we can talk?
Up to you.
I'll let you finish and then,
Okay.
I mean, they're written here and we can go through.
Okay, perfect. All right, so then the second one is the property may need to be reviewed as a business center. Bethany's regulations define a business center as 3 or more businesses, commercial or industrial establishments on the same lot. This is one accessory lot and appears to contain at least 4 existing establishments before the proposed assembly use is added. This concern is about the property as a whole, not just parking. The tenants share the same driveway, septic system, drainage, emergency access, and other site infrastructure. The record does not include a written determination on whether the business center regulations apply or a coordinated review showing that all uses can be operated together. So then my second question is, will the commission determine whether the business center regulations apply? And if so, require a site-wide review showing that all existing and proposed uses can operate together? Third one is the traffic and access remains unresolved. Section 9.8 requires the commission to find that transportation is adequate and that the traffic from the proposed use will not harm public safety or local welfare. The record identifies the driveways and potential occupant load, but it does not include a site-specific review of sightlines, peak arrivals and departures, turning movements, truck conflicts, emergency access, or fire apparatus circulation. It also does not explain why that review would not be needed. So my third question is, will the commission require a site-specific traffic and access review? And fourth and last point is the record does not clearly show compliant parking, loading, ADA access, and circulation. Separate from the business center question, the record does not include one final plan showing how the property will physically meet the parking, loading, accessibility, and circulation requirements. The materials do not clearly show that the required paved spaces, loading areas, aisle width, step backs, or how parking will be shared among tenants. They also do not clearly identify the required accessible spaces or show a continuous accessible route to the entrance, subject to review by the appropriate officials. These issues matter because the site must be safe and usable for everyone, including the people with disabilities while still allowing proper loading and circulation for the other businesses. So my fourth question is, will the commission require one final dated and dimensional plan showing the required parking, loading, accessible space, and route and circulation for all uses on the property? In closing, both equal treatment and long-term effects of this decision matter. The best protection for the applicant, the commission, the town, and the residents is a complete record grounded in objective evidence. Requiring that evidence is not discrimination, it is equal treatment. I focused on 4 concerns tonight, but my written assessment identifies others, including fire and life safety, the QVHD conditions, which seems to be addressed this evening, prior site plan compliance, wetlands, drainage, and buffering. Does the commission intend to address those remaining concerns and identify the supporting evidence before closing the hearing? And does the commission believe that the current record contains enough evidence to close the hearing and make each finding required for the approval?
Thank you. Any comments from y'all, or do you want me to start? Or?
Why don't you start?
So first, I want to thank you for being for a very calm and very organized presentation, and also for treating us like educated adults. To go through this, I mean, I went through your document and I marked it up a bit on my own, but I'll just address your 4 main questions first, and then some ancillary ones can be dealt with. I think we have evolved to a fairly clear description of what this is, and they have renounced the things that are not acceptable. They have said they will not run Sunday school out of it. They've described what the kids' church is, which is a subset of their church, their congregation going in back during services to take the kids who are getting bored and give them some lesson and a Bible reading and some crafts. And then they all leave with the parents. It's not an after school.
So I have a question about that. Is that how QVC defines it as well? Or QVHD defines it as well? Because their regulations is based on their math is based on Sunday school per pupil. And so I feel that while that's perfectly fine, of course, but does QVHD define it differently, and does that affect the septic system?
I mean, this is a key distinction point, because if it's truly defined as a school, then number 1, it's not allowed there, and number 2, it changes the parking rules as well. The description of it as a Bible reading and playtime, essentially, during the worship service is, I don't know. I mean, that I'm not sure what the legal definition of Sunday school is, or what the legal definition of a worship service is. And the problem is, in this area, it's all loose because it's all loose.
Right.
Because First Amendment and all that.
So I'm wondering, has QVHD though provided their definition, like what they base it off of? I think that could help clarify.
Is Luis on with us?
Hi, Santiago here, Chief Sanitarian at QVHD. Sorry, my camera's off. We based it off of several conversations with Samuel, with the Greekers as well, and we based it off pretty much off of conversations that established that there wasn't going to be a Sunday school. And one of the things that we do know about Sunday schools is that they have to get pretty much registered by the state, and I believe there's no process in that for them. Additionally, we go based off of statements, and we have declared statements that said, no, we're not doing a Sunday school, and they're just dividing their times of worship by group, ages of group. And we don't have any restrictions on that.
There you go.
Thank you.
So to me, I get what you're getting at with this, but I think we've got enough. And I will say this, and I wanted to say, I wrote this down as you were talking on this, but it applies to all of these. A statement of purpose is this is public documents. This is, a public hearing. You make a statement here, you will be held to it.
Okay.
All right. So not just the written, but the verbal stuff that has been recorded here. We have a zoning enforcement officer. We have a fire marshal. We have QVHD inspectors. If they run amok on this, they will be cited and it will be stopped. Okay.
Yeah, that was going to be my follow-up question, is how is that enforced?
So that's to get to that point, and that applies to all of these, basically. Will the commission determine whether the business center, I mean, that's something we can discuss. I hadn't really thought about that. I looked at what defines a business center. It seems more aimed at an office complex or something like that. But, the rudimentary definition, which is 3 or more businesses operating on a same lot, could be made to apply. If you look at those 5 points under that regulation, though, the one that most applies is the traffic and the parking, which is the theme through all of this.
Yep.
And I do think that is a point on which we need to have more discussion.
Okay.
And we'll get to that in a bit too.
Okay, great.
So that is, but I think whether we decide it's a business center or not, and I argue that it's probably not in the intent of what a business center is.
That's fair.
But either way, even if you don't apply that set of rules, there's still the parking and the traffic issue. Okay.
Yep.
From other places. Now, getting to, let me see. Yeah, the site specific, we'll talk about that in
Sure.
just a second, too,
Sounds
because
good.
that applies to my previous comment.
Okay.
And then finally, a final domain, we have in aggregate gotten several plans, I agree. I think there is adequate space there for parking of 60 vehicles, which, because this is a congregational activity, falls under the church guidelines, which in our parking is 3 congregants per parking space.
Mhm.
At 180, they only need 60. That's,
Sure.
even on the early maps, that was 60.
So that's fair, but what about the everything else that goes with parking?
Okay, let's talk about that.
Okay.
I looked it up. Federal law exempts church worship services from ADA requirements. Yes, I was surprised. But I think the assumption there is that most churches will look after their congregants who have needs. And most churches do voluntarily follow the ADA guidelines, leave parking near the door open to people who cannot walk far. A lot of times they will help bring congregants into the church before the service, greet them at the door. It's an informal agreement and it's an informal arrangement, but the ADA exempts houses of worship for worship activities. This is where the Sunday school and all the other stuff comes in, because any other activities, office use, Sunday school use, it invokes ADA requirements, which is what I believe you all cited the other time.
What about, I apologize, what about the other tenants on the site? Is that the industrial use other tenants? There's at least 4 other businesses that
Mhm.
operate that site. Are they not required to be ADA compliant?
No, they would be during their hours of operation, which is not generally Sunday, according to Mr. Grieger and according to others. So
I've seen, it's probably 1 or 2 people, but I have certainly seen them, they have band practice, they're there on Sundays.
that gets to another of your points, which we can discuss as well. It might be worth asking for a rough, not absolute, schedule of activities and use of that site, just to show that there's minimal overlap and purposefully minimal overlap of the activities between the church and the other clients on the site. That shouldn't be that hard to get and put together, but that would satisfy that requirement. The businesses, again, during any average week, there's more than enough parking for them to have space near the door for any disabled or need special client. So I think that outside of church hours, the property is well suited to handle the parking.
I think that's fair. Yeah, outside of church.
Um,
How about like the circulation and things of that nature, right? Like, so the site's currently not, it's set up for their minimal use, right?
Mhm.
Handful, maybe max 20 people there a
Mhm.
day. It's not paved, and
Mhm.
the regulation calls for pavement. It's not lined. There's no
Lined.
line,
parking
yeah,
space.
yeah, parking lines. There's no like circulation, like saying like, oh, hey, like when you pull out of this parking lot, you need to go this way, or you need to go that way, to ensure that everybody's staying safe. Loading zones for the other businesses, making sure that there's space for emergency vehicles. All of that is not currently in place.
Well, the fire marshal did say there was enough adequate access for emergency vehicles
Okay.
on the property. The one thing I will say is, actually, I looked at the parking regulations, and one of the issues is the pavement.
Yeah.
And because it says you need 3 congregants per 1 space, or 1 space for 3 congregants, but it does say paved.
Yeah.
And that is bituminous. It's what is it? It's ground asphalt.
It's on Millings.
Millings.
Millings, okay.
Which is, while a fairly solid surface, is not pavement, technically. And so that is an issue that we need to look at. The church obviously knows what the parking lot is made of and is willing to make a go of it with the parking as it is. So they're not inconvenienced by it, but we do have to think about public safety and people. And I mean, I don't know how many people go to church in heels on your congregation, but Millings could be problematic in heels.
It could be problematic for winter clearance as well. Snow and all that.
Well, I mean, they plow the property.
So if we want to go off of that part,
Mhm.
one thing I did not mention would be that if the commission chooses to require payment, then that parking lot is in the upland review and should go through.
I'm sorry.
That paved parking lot is in the 150 upland review and should require to be.
Depends on where he paves it, but yes,
Sure.
he could certainly pave it so it's not in the 150 buffer zone, but it still would require a review because it changes the amount of
Permeability.
permeable,
Yep.
impermeable space. Although he's got plenty of room on that lot to put more impermeable space on. Because he's in a benign zone, he can cover up to 75% of that lot with impermeable space or
Okay.
impermeable cover. So I don't think he would violate that end of it, and I'm sure he's clever enough to pave it where it's not in the buffer zone.
It goes pretty much across the parking lot, but maybe.
It goes across that one lip behind the building, because the building is not in the
Yeah, but the parking lot, it kind of
the
like,
part that loops behind is, but the part that goes to the next building isn't.
Yeah. I mean, it's not for me to, I'm
Right.
not an expert, that's for.
And it's not for me per se to tell him how to do it. It just is a thought that it's something that is a point of discussion
Great.
that we have to deal with is the paving. I had flagged that myself as well. So the things that I see that really do still sort of need to be in my mind settled is the traffic flow issue. I think they have the capacity for the parking. Whether we want to give them a waiver on the paving or not is an issue, and that's up for discussion.
Sure.
And then, the church did circulate a memo saying that they will have, people out helping, directing and all that, which is all very well and good. And again, if that is considered an appropriate intervention, then that would suffice.
Okay.
The question is, who determines that? How are we determining that? And so one option, and I'm going to just float this out there, is to ask them to accept a continuance of this hearing and come back with a formal traffic report from an actual professional engineer who does that. Those are fairly easy. Kurt can give you a reference for a number of people who will do that. I'm not incorrect on that, am I? You can give them names of people who do that, or should they
I
just find
normally
it?
do not give names.
All right, then normally do not give names, then we will not give any normal names. So we can't do that, but you can find an engineer who, the state will have people who do that, who they accept. It will cost a little money, but it might be something we could invoke to get this over the hump one way or the other.
And
Because if you get a formal traffic review from a recognized expert and they say, if we put cones out this way on Sunday morning, or if we have two people there directing, or whatever, or the sight lines match up, you don't need anything,
Sure.
then at least your question is answered.
And that's exactly what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the evidence to show that this site is going to be safe and has appropriate use.
But throughout all of this discussion, those 2 points have been the main sticking points,
Mhm.
in my opinion. The rest, I think, has been over time.
that's fair.
We've evolved to an
Yeah.
answer, right?
Yep.
And again, the fire marshal, we did get that written report submitted at the last meeting. And then we finally got the QVHD one today, which again, on their behalf, I'll apologize for that lateness because I know that's kind of blindsiding everyone, but that's what was said and that's how it's been said. And I know you're eager to get this all off the docket and get moving. And I understand that and I'm sensitive to that. But I do have a lot of people who are very concerned, understandably, because it's right in front of their house in their driveway on a Sunday morning. I just want to make sure everybody's as happy as we can be with this decision. Okay. And so that's my thoughts on this. And I'm going to see what you all want to add to it.
I have a few things. First of all, I guess, looking at the business park, the two things I pull out of that, because most of it's really general.
Yeah.
And I think we have looked at many of the things that are discussed in that as part of the general application process and review. However, two things stand out for me. Number one is the assurance that whatever the parking looks like, that there is adequate space when cars are parked there for emergency vehicles to access it. And so I think that needs to be done, depending on how the parking configuration looks like. And the other thing is, there was a discussion about nighttime use. And so there might be a need for an additional lighting outside for wintertime evening use. That's only used when people are there, as opposed to just the light where the door is.
Right, yeah, I have that in the.
So that might be another concern.
Yep.
As far as the traffic is concerned, to me, I don't share the commissioners, the chair's need for a traffic study, because it's 1 or 2 nights a week with a couple cars. On Sundays, it's 20 cars, and there have been indications from the congregants that they will help with any egress or ingress into that parking area. Well, I'm concerned, traffic is always a concern. If this is going to be used every single day, I would share the concern, but for Sundays, I don't share that concern
What
right
about
now.
growth?
So I don't think there's a need for a traffic study, but that's my opinion on things. As far as the parking is concerned, we as the commission have the right to waive the number of spaces as well as the surface of the area of the parking area. And to pave that parking, in my mind, puts a significant expense upon the owner of the parking area, the owner of the property. So it would seem to be, in my opinion, unnecessary to do so.
Okay.
The one thing that I was concerned about that I didn't see any flexibility on terms of commission, maybe staff could help me with this, that part of the regulations talk about and was brought up by one of our community members about the need for buffers and islands for landscaping purposes. For example, spaces need to be 10 feet from the building. Since it's going to be an area with 10 spaces or more, there has to be islands with landscaping. And I'm not too sure if we can waive those requirements. So if those regulations are applied in this situation, it may change what the parking is going to look like. And as far as, let's see, and as there will be a as-built site plan, which will put all these things together, and there can't be a COA until that's with our office. So
Okay.
it won't be used until then. And that will put together many of the things we're concerned about. And I guess, I wasn't aware that, there is an exemption for ADA.
I wasn't aware of that either. I
Yeah.
was looking that up. I was like,
Yeah.
you're kidding me, really?
Yes. So, and as far as Sunday school is concerned, to me, it's that the members of the church have clearly explained that this is part of worship.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
no longer have
official,
concerns
not
about that.
It's part of worship,
Yep.
and we can't regulate that,
Sure, that's
nor
fair.
can QVHD.
Okay.
So I'm comfortable with that explanation. So I guess those are some of my concerns.
Yeah, no, that's actually, that's actually a couple of things I had forgotten I was thinking about too. And let me, before you go, Mr. Grieger, can I ask you quickly, what lighting exists outside that building now? You mentioned there's lighting at the door?
There's lighting at every door. There's like another light, emergency lighting.
So we keep. It just, was,
Bill Grieger, I live at 185 Fairwood Road. And it was all inspected by the building official and the fire marshal. There's emergency lighting in the building, and then there's full cutoff lights at every door. So it lights up and spreads out, so no one will have any issues.
How far does that spread, if I may ask? Roughly
Probably 50 feet,
50 feet?
50
Yeah.
feet.
Okay.
because they go down, and then there's emergency lighting that lightens up more if there's power outage for people inside.
Okay.
And that was all
That's
inspected.
what my impression was from what you said last time. I just wanted to get it on the record for the sort of general parking lot coverage of the lights
Yeah.
pursuant to your question. All right. And then, what was the other? Oh, and you had mentioned the landscaping was not yet done.
Right, there's an approved plan for the landscaping. Once the fall comes, it will be installed. And I gave her my word that we were gonna put taller trees, it's all more small things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna buy the green giants and put them all up on the side. And
That view
They
will be.
do truly appreciate that.
and I did, like I said before, I made it look like a house. Everybody said we're doing metal giants. I did architectural shingles. I did.
I understand
Yeah,
that.
no, just to keep the happy. And one thing about Millings. On Atwater, there's a handicap thing that the town got grant money for. It's all Millings. We have 12 buildings in town, they're Millings. We plow them with a loader, you don't push them off.
Mhm.
We had 10, 8 inches rains the last month. Nothing moved on that building.
I know you made that
You
point.
know, I
last
mean,
time.
you could have the zoning official go in, and with certain people that watch it like a hawk, if there was one piece of grass on their driveway, I would be getting a call about it.
Okay.
And he's more than welcome, but I'm saying the rain and the way we did that, we get fresh real millings, we put it down 2 foot thick. It's going nowhere. It's the same as asphalt. And like the town, the lodge down there,
Mm-hmm.
it's millings, and it's handicap allowed.
Mm-hmm.
and I have a good friend in a wheelchair. He comes over, our parking lots is hard, no problems. It's as hard as pavement.
Okay,
And you're more than welcome, anybody to go walk it, see it. And like I said, it hasn't moved one bit.
okay. Thank you. Right.
I mean, I think you guys have covered most of my concerns. I mean, I was thinking about the Sunday school issue and how that's defined. But I think after listening to Santiago, I'm comfortable with that. I think that's just simply falls within their, their worship service. I was concerned about the fire truck being able to get in there, but it sounds like the fire marshal has, or the fire chief has said that should be fine, but I would like to see maybe, has he looked at where the parking would be and contemplated like a full parking lot and being able to get a fire truck in there?
That I don't know.
And that's one thing I would probably want to look at. I'm less concerned about the millings. I can recall we had an application maybe about 10 years ago where I think the issue was, these may be under the old regulations, but it said a driveway that had over maybe a 10% grade had to be paved. And the applicant came in and argued that milling satisfied that requirement. And I think the commission determined that that broadly met the definition of paving. So there may be some precedent for allowing millings, regardless of whether the commission decides to grant a waiver on that or not. But I'd like to hear what anybody else has to say
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, thank you very much for your comment. And again, thank you for providing something I can work off of because it makes it easier to follow. Is there anyone else who would like to speak, please?
Yes, I would like to clear up something.
Okay,
So the reason that we were back and forth with permits is when we receive an applicant, the reason we set limitations is because that's what you're telling us that you're going to practice. And what we want to do is, okay, this is your max. For example, the first permit was 5 people for an office space. That is 20 gallons per day. That equates to 100 gallons per day divided by the 1.5 factor equals 150 square feet. Now, if I was to say, yes, this could be used as an office space, I wouldn't be able to know that it would turn from 5 people to 10 people, which then would go over what the square footage is. So when we set new permits out, it's based on what you're telling us our practice is going to be. And I do thank you for apologizing for us, and I do apologize for the tardiness on the report. However, Brian Slagowski is our per diem, but he is a well-seasoned inspector, and a report was given, but we handed out an official report today, knowing that you guys were going into this meeting today. And I do apologize. I was on paternity leave, and I just got back this week, so I've been catching up on work.
congratulations on the baby.
Thank you. But just wanted to clear that up.
Thank you for doing that. I appreciate that.
Yep.
Any other comments you had wanted to speak? Again, microphone, name, we know who you are, but you got to give name and address because the tape doesn't know who you are.
Lori Marenko, 21 Coastal Road. And the last time we were up here, there were a lot of questions. The first one, drainage, we brought that up to your attention, and I just want to see if that has been updated. I know there wasn't anything since last month installed, so that's one of my major concerns, drainage. And did you need the maps?
I mean, I'll take them.
The site plan with drainage, and then when you flip it, the as-built, no drainage. So that's a major concern for us because as you could see, it's right on the property line. And if that is not well maintained as it should be, then that's gonna do something to our property, I'm guessing.
My understanding is that this has been looked at.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Curtis Bosco for the record, zoning, wetlands and zoning enforcement officer. Zoning regulations are broken down to 3 different distinct properties. The first one is a lot, the land. Does it comply? Is it in conformance? That has been determined that this lot is a conforming lot. It's approved. The next is building. There was a permit issued. This building is an existing building. It meets all the codes, wetlands and zoning. That is not an issue. The issue before you is the third item, use. The use originally for this building was for a warehouse or some sort of variant of a warehouse. That use now is being considered as a change of use. And that's exactly why we're here, for a special permit for the use. Building drainage is not an issue before this board tonight. You should not be considering it. This has all been litigated before the before the zoning board of appeals. Tonight, the only issue is the special permit as a change of use for a place of worship as required by the regulations. We should not be relitigating this. It's over and done with. The building has a certificate of occupancy or the building permit has been issued. The building is up. It's the use. That's what's before the commission tonight. So please keep it in that realm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So can I just ask how it gets addressed? Where should I go? How should that be followed up with?
When the certificate of occupancy is issued and everyone goes to inspect everything to make sure everything's good, if anything is missing from the promised building plan, it will be noted and there will be citations issued.
Okay. And the other
I mean, that's what his job is. That's what their job is.
Yeah. And the other thing is the retaining wall. I did mention that the last time. There should be a retaining on the property, regulation 911.0. Cut and fill slope shall not be steeper than 1.3 unless stabilized by a retaining wall or cribbing. And right now, there's no retaining wall there.
Where
I'm sorry?
there?
Again, that should go
On
to
the
the
side of the
zoning
building.
enforcement officer.
That's an issue.
That should go to the zoning enforcement officer. Again, we're looking at the change of use
Right. So
for,
parking is an issue because it's involved intimately with the change in use and the number of people who will be going there, as is sight lines, traffic, patterns of vehicle motion, all that. Structural activity at that site, structural requirements, structural needs or lack thereof are not part of this
You
hearing
guys, okay,
because we are not talking about the building. The building is built. We're talking about people using the building for a purpose.
understood.
That's what Mr. Bosco was trying to say.
Okay, understood.
And so I get your point, but like the wetlands thing that we were talking about last time, that is not the purview of this hearing. So
Okay,
you can talk about that if you want,
But
but
you
we
can
can't
address
do
it.
anything about it.
right,
All right. As with the previous hearing, when we were talking about a different change in use or allowance of use that has been going on there in retrospect, it was a retrospective approval. The talk about the structural stuff and everything else is not germane to talk about the use unless the use directly impinges it. If he has to drill a hole in a bunker to allow the use of the building as he's asking for, that can become an issue for the,
yep.
but right now that's set and been approved already.
I got
We
you.
cannot relitigate what the commission's already approved because the builders have relied on that decision.
Yep.
All right.
Understood.
So all we can talk about is stuff. Now, if you want to talk traffic flow, if you want to talk about whether the millings is an appropriate surface or not, fine.
Gotcha.
Why?
What? Yep. Okay. Thank you.
So, in regards to parking, will there be, an updated listing, for the parking, as a new site plan for the parking? There will be.
there'll have to be.
There has to be, yeah,
Will be
because
part
it
of-
has to be reviewed before they get the building permit.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure the 90-foot regulation is in effect, or you can't be 90 feet with the next door to a residential zone. That's all. I just wanted to make sure that's up and
The
about.
lot's on a BNI zone.
I'm sorry?
The lot's on a BNI zone.
Yeah, but it's next door to a residential zone,
It's true.
and there is a special regulation about that. That's all. And there's also the wetlands. Wait a minute, don't cut me off.
I'm not cutting you off. I said you can say what you want. We can only consider certain things.
Right. The parking is in, the inland upland review area. Can you talk about that?
You can talk about that.
What
But
about it?
that lot has been there and is there and has already been accepted.
It actually, let me just get my stuff. Actually, there's a special caveat to that. It wasn't accepted. These are the inland wetlands review minutes.
Okay, thank you. Can I
A minute.
enter that? I know these are online,
Tell me
so,
what you think of that. Just tell me what you think of that.
again, it's not an item of business, therefore it's not appropriate for
Gotcha.
me to tell you what I think of that. If you leave this with me, I'll read it and I'll
Okay, you read
form
it.
my own thoughts.
Okay.
But it's not appropriate for me to address that because it's already been litigated.
Got it.
And frankly, if I start going into that, we can get sued for that.
Okay.
So I don't want to do that.
Okay, I'm
Okay.
done.
All right. Because again, that's been decided and been relied upon. And we cannot now go and play games with that. And so, anyone else have anything to say? Yes. Again, name, address.
Hi, Kim McClure Brenton, 168 Sperry Road. I just wanted to note again that, through the planning and zoning regulations, a house of worship is a permitted use in a B&I or a residential
Mhm.
zone. So I'm not sure that the parking being within 90 feet of a residential zone would apply here. Maybe that's a question for Kurt
I
or,
think our zoning enforcement officer
Right.
is empowered to make those determinations.
the church would have to talk about a traffic study if it was required. It would be a financial hardship for a young church. Just to note, there's going to be more traffic with school going back in 2 weeks, every weekday, and probably Saturday mornings. There would be from our church on a Sunday morning. The evening use would be very limited. It would be small groups. It's not going to be, if it's 10 cars, that would be a lot. And the third is I have a business that was approved by the zoning commission. I had millings for 10 years before I could afford to pave my parking lot. And I did not have to put islands in my parking lot. So I didn't know if that's a new regulation or if you could just point me to what part of the regulations that's in.
It's a 9.4, I believe.
Okay,
Yeah.
maybe that's.
And there is a 10-foot setback. That is, and I think you actually have that at your business because you've got the foliage up against the front of the
Right.
building. And that's how most people fill that 10 feet.
Right,
That and a sidewalk.
yes.
So, I mean, this site lacks that, but it would not be hard to put a marker there to say this is 10 feet, don't park closer.
Mhm. And as we've mentioned before, we would have parking attendants. We have a security team that would be directing people if needed. So,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Further comments or questions? Yes, go ahead.
Stephanie Wild, 61 West Road. If exceptions are made to the regulations, how will that be enforced and informed to the public?
So the decision is published as a matter of record.
Okay.
And any conditions stipulated will be published in that as well, in the
Okay.
minutes of the commission. And we have a zoning enforcement officer. So if things are not right, he can be notified, right? You can go down there and watch on a Sunday morning. He's loving what I'm promising. But I mean, we can, just as we've gotten photographs and other stuff, if it's getting out of hand, take pictures, video, and send it in. We can go back and revisit. If they are doing something that is dangerous, we can change the rules.
I was just curious as to how, if exceptions are made to any one of the
Oh, yeah, well,
regulations, how
they
that's
get
enforced.
monitored.
Okay.
Okay, again, one of the key ways to monitor it, I'm not gonna lie, is to hear from you all, right? And I'm gathering that you'll be watching. So
I mean, is that a large burden to put on the residents, though?
that's how we do it on pretty much everything. I mean, there's, I don't want to get into
Okay,
specific deals. There have been
This is my first
rather
experience with-
controversial issues in this commission before that get notified any little minor thing by the neighbors and whatnot. So if there's a problem, please let us know, but we'll also cruise by and check.
Okay.
Because we will do that too. And we can go by on a Sunday and take a look. And say, oh, yeah, it does seem kind of, a little iffy, or, oh, no, look, it looks great.
Okay.
Again, I think they really want to be a good neighbor. I will say that. And I really agree with all of I understand all your concerns. I'm trying to get them all addressed.
Mhm.
And so, but, it doesn't go away just because we make a decision. Something like this, which is like a public safety issue,
Mhm.
can always be brought up.
Okay.
All right. A building issue, once the guy acts on, so we tell him you can go ahead and put a foundation down, and he does that, you can't go by and tell him to rip it up because you changed your mind.
Yep.
Right? Well, you could if it's a public safety issue, but so we try to avoid relitigating things, but we certainly can revisit things for reasons. If it's a health issue, if it's a public safety issue, we can put restrictions on after the fact because it's a public safety and health issue. Generally, it goes through the departments that specifically deal with that, like QVHD or the fire department or whatever. But if it's a big deal, we can look at it again, because when people complain, we go and look. We have to settle it out.
Okay. Thank
Okay?
you. I appreciate you educating me on that. Thank you.
Yes. Again, name and address.
Hello, my name is Phil Cushing, 73 Birchwood Drive, Hamden, Connecticut. I'm the Deacon of Finance for Still Waters Community Church. It's been an interesting few months going through this process. We have tried to comply with every regulation that we've been made aware of. We actually have chosen the Griegers because of their reputation of being good builders, and more importantly, good landlords. We have looked at many of their properties, and we are convinced that that is a landlord we would like to work with. Out of respect for your time, you'll see 10 of us back here with this blue lanyard on. We know the evening's getting long, so I would just ask, do the 10 of us agree that we very much would like to go forward with this location in Bethany? We looked at our membership. We have 33 members. Over half of them are Bethany residents. So again, I thank you for your time. I thank you for consideration, and let us know if there's any other issues. We've been able to rent the town hall gym down here, and we are not aware of any issues we've had for almost a year. So we will do the right thing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there any further comment? All right, then. Are there any particular stipulations or comments you guys want to make?
I was just wondering when, staff, do you have any comments about some of the things that we brought up, or you would want to relate to the deliberation process, or how would you like to approach it?
I would suggest that during the deliberation process, we may answer any questions that you may have regarding
Okay.
whatever decision you may be going to. I'm not sure there's any time to extend the hearing at this point. So
No, the only way to extend the hearing now would be to ask the applicant to agree to it. And I think actually we seem to have reached a point where we have talked it out. So I think the next thing is just to deliberate. And
Close the public hearing.
Yeah,
yes,
I
right.
would make a motion that we close the public hearing on this application.
I'll second the motion.
All right. Those in favor of closing the public hearing?
Aye.
Aye.
No opposed. So the public hearing is closed on this. We will deliberate and give a decision at our next meeting. We have 35 days for that.
It's on the agenda if you want to deliberate tonight.
Yes, I know. But we also have another big item to go through. And I think this, again, requires a little more cogitation and some discussion with you guys. But we will give you a decision at our next meeting, because that's how the calendar works on this. Okay. Sorry for the delay, but that's how this calendar stayed out. So All right, so with that, we'll move on to the second item of business for the public hearing, which is application 26-1 TA, 795 Carrington Road, TriTech Americas LLC, Christine Cimino or Chimino, I'm not sure how it's said. And it's in the BNI zone, MBL 12/22-13. And thank you all, everyone, for coming and giving us your opinions. It's valuable. This is how the process works. So I appreciate it. And again, being on point is helpful. So this is an application for a zoning text amendment to permit primary solar energy equipment in the town of Bethany, and specifically in a BNI zone. And is the applicant here? Come forward, please.
Before we begin, Mr. Chair, because there's a potential that exists for a conflict of interest on my part, I need to recuse myself from any discussions at this hearing or any further discussions about the application. I'm a member of the Bethany Land Trust Board of Directors, and we have a property less than 500 feet across the road from the parcel in question. In addition, I can't recall when, maybe more than a year or two ago, when there was discussion about moving the installation from a residential zone to a business and industry zone. The members of the board had a discussion about whether or not we were going to support this. So because of those reasons, I need to recuse myself from discussion of a zoning text amendment as well as a discussion of approving this application.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And thank you for notifying. You must recuse by.
But I don't know how that we need to talk about these two commissioners.
I'll address that.
Okay.
You're
Sorry.
recusing, you're recused. Out you go. We'll let you know when we're done.
Yeah, I'll be outside.
So. We don't have anyone else online, do we? There's a member.
Not that I see, unless there's somebody that we're not seeing.
Is there anyone online that, where do our staff go?
No.
No?
No.
All right. This presents a problem before you start, because we are now below our quorum, and we cannot have a valid public hearing without a quorum. I did not anticipate this.
This isn't a public hearing, but we can't have the meeting just in general, right?
This is listed as a public hearing.
It is. I thought we were just receiving it.
Right.
I would just ask a couple of questions.
Well, he can come back for the third item of business, the subdivision. He's recusing for this.
I can't speak to that.
Wow.
The application to the Council of Government Board,
There's a lot of proof.
So that is a fair question to ask. This would essentially now be just public discussion period.
I had to recuse myself.
You cannot take notes on this. This is not a.
We have two, I think.
Just to answer that question, I talked to Kurt today. He's
I don't know.
sending
I don't
it to
know.
the Council of Government.
Okay, because it would need to go there for their review for appropriateness.
go to them 35 days before the hearing. And if it
Well, that's
hasn't done that-
fortuitous because it hasn't happened yet and we have to reschedule this for 35 days out anyway.
Yeah.
So,
that was my point.
so I would get it to them tomorrow morning. Okay. We can't really discuss it in any formal way. I have it. Thank you for sending it. I understand what it's about. I have had I've spent much of this afternoon going over it and coming up with some questions and ideas, thoughts. But again, we can't really discuss it because this is not a business meeting at this point. It's not a public hearing. I apologize. I apologize for bringing you on here for this. I anticipated having at least one other member attending so that we could keep a quorum. I only found out about the recusal this afternoon. But I have to, that's also a state law. I can't operate a public hearing with less than a quorum. So I apologize for that. Thank you for coming.
Mr. Chairman, could I just add one thing? If there's anything that the applicant has, that either commission, you want the commission to consider, or you want staff to review before that, please send it to us as soon as possible.
You can drop it now.
You can drop it now, yeah.
Yeah, and we can review that and that may streamline it next time you come in. Oh, perfect. Yeah, all right. Give them actually over there, because if you give them to me, I have to log them as exhibit, but this way it'll just be
Yes.
information he gives in our packet next time we get together. So I do apologize for your waste of time. All
Thank you. I appreciate, I'm on Farmington Town Council. I understand the.
right, but
You're
I
at
mean,
the mercy of
try not to
volunteers.
waste your time, but I have to deal with what and the state law is like, I can't, you know. And he's right in recusing.
Yes. Want any?
I was hoping we'd be joined during the interim, but it didn't happen, so. All right, thank you for coming, though.
Next month.
Kurt, could you grab Bob and bring him back in? Oh, if you want to submit your application for the site review, you can do that now or later, anytime you want. Because it's on here as oh no, it's just for the text amendment for both of those. Yeah, you want the amendment before you do the site review anyway, so. No problem. You don't want two clocks ticking at once. Oh, that was unexpected. So that's it for public hearings. We have nothing else for tonight. He can't come back in. He's recused. But he can come back in for the next item of business because he's not recused for that, but that's not a public hearing. So you can go. Thank you. I believe that will be, if it was a public hearing this meeting, it'll be a public hearing next meeting. I will make sure I get some confirmations of more folks attending. Yeah. We'll have to, I want to make sure that I don't waste their time again. So
Does it have to be renoticed?
yeah, it has to be renoticed. Every hearing has to be noticed. There were 2 notices out for this one for the first one and one for the second one. Is he there?
He's gone.
Okay. Because otherwise, then we all go home now and there's no more business, which might be good, but
It won't be good for,
Won't be good for John Paul.
no, John Paul came too.
wouldn't be good for John.
No.
So they're rescheduled because we don't have a quorum.
Sorry about that.
No, it's, you
your
did the
fault.
right thing. You don't be sorry for doing the right thing.
What? Good thing.
Well.
Good thing you coaxed me into coming tonight.
Me too. So the next item of business is a new item of business. It's an application 26-1SA for a subdivision. Roger and Mary Ellen Simon are the applicants. It's at 244 Amity Road. It's a BNI zone and the back portion of it is an R65 zoning. And the application represents a 3-lot subdivision. Is that a fair summary?
Yes, Simone. He's French.
Oh, Simone. Well, Simone would be, if the British give us Simon.
He's French.
Oh, Brittany.
He's
Brett
actually from Brittany.
Oh, yeah, all right.
Okay.
So it probably is.
Okay, for the record, you ready to go?
Yeah, we've got to get the little.
I've got answers for your question. Yeah, here are your guys. I don't need them. This is only the 5-cent tour.
Right, this is just the submission. I mean,
And to go over it and I'll explain all that.
Mhm.
For the record, my name is John Paul Garcia. I'm a licensed professional engineer. Land surveyor, licensed to practice in the state of Connecticut, principal office at 190 Fairwood Road in the town of Bethany. I'm here representing Roger and Mary Ellen Simone in the matter of a division of property located at 244 Amity Road. It's on the east side of Amity Road. It's approximately 13, it's about 13 change acres. If you know where Capasso Tree Service is, the entrance is right here. It's one of these rare, it's one of these crazy lots that it's bisected by the BNI zone, 1,000 feet from Amity Road. So the front part of this is a business and industrial, and the rear part is residential. The intent is to
construct a private road to town road spec, coming in off Amity, and prepare 3 lots, 2 residential and 1 commercial.
Where's the B and I end on there?
Right here.
Oh, that is that line. Okay.
That's a 1,000-foot line. We actually, on a couple of parcels around this area, we actually changed some of that over the years because people were residential and they wanted them commercial or commercial to residential. It's caused a bit of confusion in certain areas. Anyways, so that's basically it. We've submitted to wetlands. We hope to have a report from wetlands, their next meeting, which is in 2 weeks. We've submitted to QVHD. We're waiting for comments from QVHD. We've already discussed it with the fire marshal about the fire tank water source. It's less than 1,200 feet from the one up the street. So there's no requirement for a fire department water source. And that one's located, if you're interested, it's north of Blue Kill Road. As you start to climb the road, just before you start to climb the road on the left-hand side, there's a multiple access driveway. There's a tank right there. We've sent it to regional water. Like I said, we're waiting for wetlands to give us a review. The wetlands crossing was done many years ago, direct wetlands impact, when this structure was converted. This is a small commercial structure for Roger's business. Okay, and this, there's no open space proposed because this is for a division among 2 children. It's with Roger and his 2 children.
No transfer fee.
There's no transfer. I think that covers all the bases. Now, there is one thing that Kurt raised this afternoon, and the question of whether or not private roads are allowed in the town of Bethany. Well, I'll just submit this for a record so we kill this right off the bat. This is a copy of the Bethany subdivision regulation. Definition on page 5, road, a public or private way. Zoning regulations. Page 2, road, a public or private way dedicated to the movement of vehicular traffic. And then, to further establish that, Appendix A to the zoning regulations is a private road agreement.
Yes.
So that if you have a private road, you have to make this agreement. Now, you can have a private road, but it has to be constructed to town road standards, which this was done. So there was a question about whether or not private roads are still allowed, and the answer is yes. So this is for your records.
Thank you.
Is the town responsible for maintaining the
No,
road?
that's, there's the Appendix 8 in the zoning regulation says that you're on the hook for this.
So the owner's responsible for
Plowing,
plowing,
maintaining, grading.
Yes.
Resurfacing.
Only,
just has to meet the road specs so that a fire truck could get down there.
Yes,
or
that's correct.
And the grade, it seems
the
to be
grade can't be
steep.
exceed 12%.
Yeah, and it's 8%, it's 9%, I think, at the max on your drawing.
Well, no, you can go.
No, but I'm saying on here, I think it's 8.
It's less than that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you have to meet town road standards, but there's an agreement that you have to sign, which is Appendix 8 of the zoning regulations that says you're responsible for it. So there has to be an agreement between the 3 property owners.
Yeah, who will own the private road?
That has to be the agreement, whether they own it in common or Roger owns it and gives rights to his children. That's a legal document that they have to decide.
Usually pertains to easement or not.
What's that?
Maintenance easement.
Yeah, and then they have to be cross easements. They can decide to have it as tenants in common, or they can decide it as Roger owns it in fee simple. And
Are all 3 properties being given to the children?
no, Roger's keeping one and he's giving the other 2 to his children.
Right.
He's got a son and a daughter.
Okay.
We did something very similar with a single lot last meeting or 2 meetings ago.
But the regulations say for a subdivision, all parcels in the subdivision have to be,
Among family members.
Yeah.
And that's what this is. It's among family members. And that's basically it. It's It's a very simple subdivision.
Is there any other place in town where there's a private road across a BNI zone that serves as two residential areas?
No,
So
not
this
that I
is-
think of.
This is unique. And
Yeah, this is relatively unique. It's the only way to develop the property. We tried to come in off the back end many years ago, and that was, that had issues coming in off Myers Road. It butts up against the back end of Myers Road. But there's nothing that says I can't do this. And again, this is a relatively simple, a simple subdivision. There's nothing fancy about it. There's nothing crazy about it.
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Looking at the two residential properties, where are the lot width, how are the lot width calculated?
Usually you can calculate any number of ways,
Sure.
but it's usually at the setback line, which is 50 feet back. And this exceeds 200 feet.
Where is the lot, where's the lot line?
Right here.
That,
It's on there, but it's just not well seen. It's got it marked with those little lines.
Wait a minute, it's
the lot width has to be determined in relationship to the road.
there's a couple of ways you can do it on something like this. It's the definition of lot width is determined at either along the road or at the front setback line. If you read your definition. That's 50 feet back.
So where is this?
We can show that.
Yeah, because it's not shown on the map.
I'll show it.
Nor is the 50-foot right of way line.
50-foot right of way line is shown on the. But again, we can make it. There doesn't have to be a 50-foot right of way for a private road, by the way,
According to whom?
according to regulations.
I'll verify that.
Which one?
I'll dig it out.
I can dig it out too.
Well, look, there's if you read your road spec,
Also, I guess, for the commission, I guess I'm concerned that this is a very unique situation for town. And a private road, crossing a BNI zone, the service to residential there is very unique. And to me, I would like to see a public hearing for that because of, the nature of this proposal. I mean, for example, we'll have a long-term maintenance agreement that you had mentioned. And what happens if that agreement falls apart? Either of the parcels get sold. And if the owner of the BNI property decides to do a whole bunch of the BNI things on the property, and not regard the two landowners, there could be an issue associated with that.
I don't see how, because you have an agreement when the lots are created. There is agreements which define.
But people can renege on their agreements.
You're starting to tread in an area that I think is outside the purview of this commission.
I don't think so. I think it provides an opportunity for significant liability of the town.
There's no liability of the town.
If the agreement falls apart, there will be
There's
liability.
no,
Who's going to maintain the road? If one of the members don't choose to maintain.
there's
the
an
road.
agreement, section 8, there's an agreement.
I understand that. I understand that, John Paul, but I'm saying if it falls apart, the town's on the hook.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are. How are we going to get buses down there? How are they going to
They
get?
don't get buses down there. Buses.
Or
there's
how
a private
are we going to
road.
get out? If the road's no longer
there's
being
no-
maintained by the person.
Private road by definition.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't want to get into
By
that.
definition.
I guess I'm saying that because of this unique situation, I think there should be an opportunity for the public to talk about this in a public hearing.
How does
So
it impact the public? How does this impact the public?
I'm sorry?
If the commission thinks that a public hearing is necessary, what I would suggest is that set the hearing date. In the meantime, talk to the town attorney, move forward.
Okay, yeah, I guess, to me, this is very unique in town.
It's unique. There's
So I
no
think
question it's unique.
people in town need to have an opportunity if they're so concerned.
It doesn't impact anybody in town.
Okay,
Can I just make one comment?
thank you.
In other communities, there are rules that you cannot have a business and traverse over residential zones to
Right.
protect residents.
Right.
This is
The opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
Yeah,
unique.
I
I
understand that, but
understand why your concerns are peaked, certainly.
yeah, I understand, and that reverse situation would not be, allowed in our
Communities, it's
regulation.
allowed in
Right.
traverse.
Me, an introduction of a private road provides an opportunity for the same situation to be occurring elsewhere in town. And I think because of its unique nature, that the public needs to be able to comment on it.
You make a valid point. Your regulations allow public roads other places. The reason most people don't do it is because they don't want to accept the responsibility of having to maintain it with other people. That's all, but that's why most people don't do it. Most of my clients will tell you they wouldn't do it. Now, you go to Fairfield County, Easton, Weston, Reading, those people will do private roads every day of the week, and the town loves them because now they're not on the hook for maintaining them. There's no snow plowing, no mail service, no garbage pickup. None of that occurs on a private road. So different towns approach it different ways. Fairfield County, you can do these things until hell freezes over.
But this
They
is not
love it.
Fairfield County.
What's that?
This is not Fairfield.
I understand that.
And this is the
But
first
what I'm
time
saying
it's
is,
happening.
you're saying there's an issue here, and again, I don't see the issue. I understand the uniqueness of this. We don't get many of these.
That's the issue, the uniqueness of this for town.
Well, it's a precedent.
What? No, it's not precedent.
Well, it is. It's the first time it's happening. There isn't one elsewhere in town. So if you do this, he's concerned that we do it right so that you don't set a precedent that you're going to have to then do for someone else if this goes wrong. I understand his concern.
What's the precedent?
The precedent is allowing a road, a private road to residences across a business property, which is unique. And that sets a precedent. And I can't imagine that there's going to be clamoring for a lot of private roads across business properties to get to houses. All right, I'm with you on that, John. But I do understand his concern that we probably should take a look at this a little more carefully. And I agree that maybe getting town attorney's opinion on that exact question on who's the liability if this goes up. Like what happens if they have a huge falling out or,
That's what the civil courts are for.
well, except that if this guy then decides to shut off access to those lots, then we have an issue.
You can do that. Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying? That's what his concern is. It's just, this is uncharted territory and you wouldn't do it in reverse.
What's that?
You wouldn't do it in reverse. You wouldn't traverse somebody's house or private property to get to a business.
That's correct.
So just make sure that we're not tripping some wires is all I'm saying. So maybe getting a legal opinion on that would be helpful.
Mr. Chairman, you have the right to call for a public hearing.
I know.
Why don't you just move it?
Yeah.
Have them make a motion and move it. We could schedule it for September.
Yeah, I mean, again, the legal opinion is the main thing. I think the rest is pretty straightforward.
And I'll make the changes that Bob wanted,
Yep.
and no big deal.
Okay. All right.
So the other thing, some of the other things that I was concerned about, the location of the wells, are they?
Yeah, I was wondering that too.
There's no well sites listed. There's also,
There's no be well sites on there.
No, you gave us septic locations, but no wells that I could find.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was too.
That's interesting.
there's no, so we don't know if they're 50 feet or whatever, 75
be
feet away
75.
from the septic system. And also there's no, at some point, there'll have to be some buffering put in between the B&I zone and the residential zone that's required by our B&I regulations. To screen off that building. And the fact that the road goes through that buffer is of concern to me as well.
Well, I mean, the setbacks are respected.
Yeah, we'll fix
Got
that.
a large piece of
Yeah, there's some tree line here,
line here.
but there's no buffering here. There's no buffers anywhere. So I don't know if that, without a sidewalk, can't really determine whether or not that would be adequate buffering according to our B&I regulations,
Ah, I see.
which have to screen the residential from the B&I use.
Right. So here I would say there's a fair amount of screening on the B&I side, but here there isn't. You're right.
We'll have to, I mean,
Well, that's a 50-foot
When you
buffer.
open, you go do a sidewalk.
yeah, I think that's, at some point, we would need to do a site walk as a
Mhm.
commission, just to take a look. Yeah, I'm also good, I guess, the road, the maximum grade, I think, is 8%, and there's a point of it where it's 8.2%, is that correct?
I thought it was more than that. That's that was another question I had, actually.
Yeah, it says it's 8.5 right now. On C4,
That's what it was. Thank you.
C4, it's 8.5%, and I don't see any correction of that.
And in fact, it actually even gets higher than that. But right now, he's going to change the grade.
Yeah, the current look like it's currently at 8.5, and that's
Right, and then
okay.
he's not changing the tangent at that point, correct?
8.5, yeah, it's the steepest point, it's just in the tangent.
So that hasn't been corrected according to this plan. Is that true?
I'll check it.
So that exceeds the limit. And also these are, if I'm not, may I ask for opinion from staff? These two are rear lots, is that correct?
No, they're frontage lots.
They should follow the same rule as a public road, because there's basically, the
Okay.
definition of a road is either private or public.
Okay, so these would not be considered rear lots.
They're not considered real.
That's the purpose of doing this.
That's why he's got the low, yeah, this is a private road as opposed to a driveway. What's the distinction there?
Yeah, there's, your regulations, you only allow one rear lot or 1 to 2 rear lots per 4 subdivision lots.
Right.
So this wouldn't qualify. So that's why we're doing this as a private road.
Okay.
Because these become not rear lots, these become front lots.
Front lots facing the road.
It's the radius of the
road.
portion of the cul-de-sac.
I'll clean that
I
up.
was just going to
I'll
ask
clean
about
that up.
that. Is how much
that up.
frontage do they have?
Yeah, I'll clean it up.
Because the radius of that cul-de-sac, you might need to enlarge the cul-de-sac a bit to get the.
Well, the road should be designed to town road standard.
Mhm. No, but
I'll
I'm saying
confirm that.
to get frontage requirements, you have to have frontage on a road.
Yeah, but frontage is measured at the setback.
Okay,
If you read your definition it's measured either at the street line, and that's how you do pie-shaped lots
mhm.
at the end of turnaround. So I think we did, Split Rock that way. We did a couple of other roads that way. But the frontage is, the 200 feet is measured at the setback, according to your regulations.
Okay. Which at this diagram looks like it just about nicks the corner of that one house.
Yes, we'll fix it. We'll make it, we'll clean it up.
There's some steep drop off on that one lot.
In the back, yeah.
Mhm. Heads on down.
That's why you couldn't come in the other direction.
No, that they didn't want to, there were issues, Bob Britton had issues with the cemetery. He didn't want to come in that way. There were some issues with a previous zoning enforcement officer.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, because unless you get an easement from that lot.
No, there was a great discussion many years ago on whether we had legal frontage on Myers Road, which we do. But the question is whether they want to. The town was, you talk about responsibilities. Myers Road is a problem because now you got the cemetery, you've got all this stuff. And so Bob Britton and a couple of other people decided that they weren't going to be allowed to come in that way, which is why we're doing what we're doing.
Well, you would have to track through the cemetery to get there?
No, Myers Road went past the cemetery. What they tried to do is say that Myers Road stopped short of the cemetery So that the town, there you're talking about the town being on the hook for something. And that's what Bob was trying to eliminate. Because now you got these two lots at the end of Myers Road. They start complaining they want Myers Road paved. Well, Myers Road is still one of the only dirt roads in town.
Yeah.
Well, that portion, the back end of Myers Road.
Is that current building serviced by electrical power or does it use a?
Yeah, it's usually water, electric, everything.
Everything.
Septic system. Yeah, it's already,
Is
he's
it
been using it for years.
underground? Is it underground?
Yeah.
Okay, so this will connect to that underground
Probably, yes.
source.
Probably, yes.
Because you have a proposed electrical service line here.
Yeah,
Does that match up to where where his cable runs underground?
it should. It should tie into the pole.
Well, there's no pole if it's underground.
Well, it should tie into the transformer.
All right. So the motion was for,
Yeah, I don't think we've made it.
I don't think you made a motion yet.
okay,
I would like to make a motion that we schedule a public hearing for our September P and Z meeting for this application.
I'll second the motion. All right. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor, aye?
Hi.
Aye. So again, we're going to ask the town attorney for an opinion.
No
If
problem.
you want to bring one of yours, that's fine too.
I don't want to bring an attorney yet.
Okay.
Why?
No, I'm just suggesting that's an option for you.
Who wants to bring an attorney?
The attorneys do.
What's that?
Let's get it safe.
The attorneys do.
I don't. Don't convince me otherwise.
All right, so
Attorney's lying to you. Their lips move.
Thank you for these.
that was our new business. Yeah, thank you, Kurt. That was helpful. And so that's scheduled for a public hearing. Thank you for viewing that as closely as you did. I had noticed the wells and I just didn't write it down and I therefore forgot about it. All right. Our second item of new business, we've already discussed sort of, that was the item that we put off till next meeting. And then item number 3 is,
Mr. Chairman, for next month's meeting, if you're going to decide on the application for the special permit for the house of worship.
yeah,
Would you like us to prepare a resolution? You should.
yes,
Yes.
And
please.
all of the points that were brought up, we can address.
Yes, please. And I'll be
And
happy
I'll
to,
give you a draft.
I'll be happy to work with you on that. Yeah.
No overseas can, huh?
All right. Item number 3, a text amendment regarding residential accessory buildings, garages. This went out in the email to y'all.
I hope you have it.
And I will admit to having put this in because of our previous discussion at that one meeting. I did notice that the text that went out is missing a line. Somehow I edited it out of the middle.
Take yours.
So the text that I want, the idea,
Thank you.
Is this, what application is this associated with?
this is not associated with any application. It was just,
The chairman
Be
is
safe.
going to suggest to the commission that at their own volition or at their own, what's the word, come on, if we get to that? Initiative,
yes.
Initiative.
So
It's
I was just
in
concerned
reviewing,
that it
in
was gonna
reviewing,
be, excuse me.
Yeah.
I thought it's gonna be related to the other application of the garage that I had to recuse myself from. So,
No.
okay.
No.
All right.
oh, I didn't know there was another application.
Yeah, the one on Beacon Road.
Oh, no. This was brought about because we were discussing the difference between a garage and a barn. And I wanted to make it much clearer. And so currently we have a limit on, the garage is decided as an accessory building to a residence. And accessory buildings are later specifically restricted to 1,000 square feet. And I looked it up, and for a standard 3-car garage, which is becoming fairly standard in the larger homes in town, it's 12,000 square feet.
100.
1,200 square feet. Did I say 1,000?
Yeah, please. It just made Carol have a heart attack.
Yes, it's the size of Taj Mahal. Yes. Yeah. So no, it's a 1,200 square foot recommended for 3 cars to provide walk around room and proper access to the cars. So I thought, well, that's a bit difficult if we're building larger houses now to have it be below that. And then there is no bailout option in our regulations if there is a large property that wants to put a larger garage on. And so I thought it might be useful to give a bailout option. So the first proposal would be to simply change the current existing language, which is no structure shall exceed 35 feet in height from the ground to midpoint of the roof, excluding chimneys. No accessory building shall cover more than 1,200 square feet instead of 1,000 of land, including overhangs and protrusions. Exception is made for barns and silos on premises described in section 5 for boarding stables and other farming structures. That's one option, which I think is a fairly reasonable default option. It doesn't give you a bailout option if someone wants to build something bigger on an appropriate piece of land, where you're not going to be coming near, exceeding the 15% impervious limit and everything else. So another option would be to consider that same language, but give a bailout option, saying that exceptions, so that an accessory building to be used as a private garage for personal vehicles owned by a resident on the residential property may cover between 1,200 and 1,600 square feet of land area if a special permit is granted by the commission. Such structure shall be similar in appearance to the residential unit on the property and shall comply with other regulations regarding accessory buildings. So those are just a couple of options I thought we could consider. Now, again, we can hold this over to the next meeting because there's only 3 of us, but I'll be happy to hear comments on any of this. Because again, this is sort of at the very rudimentary stage. We can come back with a rework, or we can just tank it if everybody doesn't like it.
To me, that a 1,600 square foot garage is huge.
Yeah.
It would have to be on a large piece of land.
Mm-hmm.
We have some 15-acre parcels that people want
Would
to.
it be,
And so I'm also open to saying maximum size should be no larger than X percentage of total lots, total buildable space on the lot. Because that would key it to lot size. So if someone wants to put a 1,600 square foot garage on a 1.5 acre lot, you could say we don't want that. So you'll key it to, it has to be less than, or 1% of the lot size or something like that. Buildable space. But I still want to set a maximum because I don't want someone coming in with a 50,000 foot garage because they have 30 acres. So I just thought there should be a little leeway for people who have the land and want to do it. I mean, people have car collections, I mean, to be fair, there's a guy down my street who has a large 3-bay garage. That's got to be more than 1,200 feet. I'm not sure how he classed it when he got it built. But.
So under the existing regulations, there's no way for somebody to have a garage.
No,
that is.
Kurt and I went over this.
Right,
It's not a bailout option. You can't have
back
that.
and forth.
Special.
No.
It's not allowed.
Right.
What's the limit right now? 1,000?
1,000.
okay.
Three-car garage is under 900.
Well, not according to what I looked up.
4 by 36, 800 square feet. That's why 1,000 feet was put in the regulation.
Because the ones I was reading was closer to 1,008, and
That's much more than 3 cars though. That's probably 3 or 4.
it was 12 feet allowed per car for width.
24 by
and-
36.
To me, I don't know. I mean, there.
24 is not a deep garage,
No,
especially if you have a car charger.
or if you have these large trucks that are around now.
I can recall being, when we're looking at a use of a building near Teddy B's. When I was first on the commission, there was a person there who wanted to store his car collection there. And so to me, he was trying to get away from huge buildings. So
Right.
but I recognize, it'd be nice if I had a car collection on all my properties I could take care of and would on a big enough building to do so. But 1,600 square feet is huge,
Mhm.
even on a large property. I don't know.
That would be by special permit.
Yeah, I
it would
know.
require
But
special
even
permit.
then, I'm just thinking aesthetically.
Yeah. Well, again, it
but
can't be
that-
more than
but that's
35
just-
feet
that's-
height and all that.
It's
But
an accessory building. It isn't necessarily a garage either. It's any accessory building.
Right.
well, I would define it to be specifically garages. That was what my point was in this.
So this
Um,
would only apply to a detached garage?
Yes, only a detached garage, because you could put a 3,500 square foot garage in your house. As it stands right now, the way the regulations are written, your wife would probably shoot you.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of self-limiting because nobody wants a house that has, most people don't want a house that has, you know,
Garage bigger.
5 thick garage door bays.
Right, no, I agree.
As the feature.
Well, the other point I will point out, which we did look at when I was talking to Kurt about this as an idea, is that there is actually no limit currently on how many 1,000 square foot buildings you could build.
As long as you meet the setback requirements and all that.
Setback requirements and total impervious
Lot coverage.
lot coverage is would be the real limiter, but you could put a lot of 1,000 square foot buildings on my lot and still be under the lot coverage limit. Like 7. So I was thinking, well, yes, we could make people just build 2 or 3 of these 1,000 square foot structures if they really want to, or we could let them build 2 merged into 1.
Have we had people coming in that want to build bigger garages?
Well, it was predicated on the fact that someone made an application for a barn, and then we looked at the architecture of it, and yeah, it showed barn area, but it also showed
It was divided into 3
doors.
bays.
Yeah, it was
with overhead doors, and he said, no, it's a garage.
He since modified that, and now the architecture shows it's a barn, and now he can build a 1,600 square foot barn.
Gotcha. So I just don't want a lot of barns being built in residential zones either.
So there is a regulation that allows 1,600 square foot barns.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now it says exception is made for barns and silos on premises.
And that
So it
exception,
would come in under the guise of a barn.
Right. I just
And
don't
then
want
it's
a
an
lot of
enforcement
barns that aren't barns. So just saying.
I would suggest maybe we table this for more input from other commission members.
I'm fine with that. I just wanted to bring it out and have it
My
out there.
suggestion.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So
Yeah,
let's
table.
just put this off. We'll
Yeah.
table it for
Yeah,
now.
we want this for a while.
Yeah, put this off till the next meeting. We'll.
Everyone received a copy.
Yeah, right. Well, I'll update the language because the one that went out was missing a sentence or a line. 2 fragments of a sentence.
On this,
Yeah. There should be a line in between premises and building in the red text.
okay.
And the line should read, described in section 5, comma, for boarding stables and for other farming structures, period, and accessory.
Yep.
So let's talk about it and think about it, but we'll bring it up, put it on the agenda for the next meeting. I guess that would come in as old business because we brought it up here, but there's no time limit on this. There's no clock here. And the next is the discussion of possible action on modifications to the subdivision regulations concerning fire suppression and water supply regulations. And this was the fairly sizable document that came from the fire marshal.
It wasn't fire marshal, it was the water source office,
The water source officer thought.
right?
I
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of where I filed.
He did say, and I have to make a modification, it said to the town zoning regulation, it should say subdivision regulation.
Yeah, this is pursuant to the issue of having adequate water resources for construction in a subdivision, correct? Before a
Yeah.
subdivision
Yep.
gets.
Obviously, this you definitely want to take a breath on this one. You want to
Yeah,
read this thoroughly.
I wanna have more members on this when we discuss it. So I might actually just accept immediately a motion to table this until the next meeting. Moved. Second.
I'll second that.
You want to discuss it now?
No, I've looked at it a little bit, but
Yeah, but a little bit for you is not going to be enough.
yeah,
Thank you.
definitely.
I definitely want to hear what you've done an in-depth on.
Yeah, it's from what I can see, it's significantly different. Adds a lot of safety, deals with a lot of safety issues and based upon
Not a bad
experience, I
thing.
think it's necessary.
Yeah, I think it is. That's necessary. This isn't the PA 25-1. No. Fire suppression. There it is. I found it.
And this would have to go to a public hearing as well.
Yes, but
Before we can incorporate it into our zoning
Yes.
regulations,
Subdivision regulation.
subdivision regulations.
You are the P and Z. This
Right.
is the P part of it.
Right. So I guess the question being that should we put it on as old new business or should we put it on for a public hearing directly? I think we should. discuss it first and then bring it to a
Discuss it
public?
first, then go to.
Yeah,
public
that's what I was
hearing.
thinking.
I don't think, well,
We have two other public hearings coming up next month.
Yeah, I don't
too,
think-
That are
yeah.
gonna be significant, so.
Right, and there's
Sure.
always the room to do a special meeting just to deal
yeah,
with.
we don't have a lot of subdivisions coming, so new subdivisions would be subject to this.
Right. Well, if we adopt it tonight, then when John Paul comes, never mind.
Yeah.
I like living, so, all right,
He's gone.
He's
Maybe you
gone,
could Sneak it in. huh?
there we go, that would be fun. All right, and then, the old business item is our public hearing from tonight, so that will be put on for next meeting as an old business to come up with a
Yeah, I think,
decision on.
let me get my notes to that. There was, I listed out maybe some conditions to consider.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Your PA.
parking, I think, and the conditions would really have to address some of the issues that were brought up, including, parking. And again, I would urge staff to look at the landscaping section 9.4 requirement for islands to make sure.
And setback, I mean, the.
And also the fact that, we planned suggesting waiving the requirements for number of spaces as well as, that's the necessity for paving those lots, but because we have the capacity to do that as a commission.
Well, I think,
And also, signage for the church that would be consistent with, the signage regulations.
that's actually a good one we left.
And then the to me, the more important one is making sure that we have fire marshal review of emergency vehicle access when the parking lot is full of churchgoers on a Sunday morning.
Right, so pursuant to
So-
that, I would argue that one of the things you do need to do is get an actual final parking diagram and run it
Bob,
by.
do you mind emailing that to me? Or leave that list with me, or
Oh, that's okay.
let me make a copy of it before
Right,
you leave?
because I think the key is
Those are
just
handwritten notes.
Yeah,
we
these
have the
just-
fire marshal and the emergency people review emergency access based on what is a final submitted parking diagram. They only need 60 slots by our rules. I don't think we do see it, and we would waive the 3-to-1 ratio, but I think we did agree that the paving could be
Mhm.
satisfied with the millings.
But the other point is, is the regulations that we have regarding, the creation of the landscaping islands in the parking area when 10
Oh,
or
yeah, no,
more
no.
spaces are being
I was
created.
viewing that
So-
as a separate issue.
Well, that would determine how many spaces are going to be
Right,
available and what it'll look like.
but that
Okay.
would be incorporated into the final parking diagram.
The landscape plan is already put together. He needs to install that.
Right. That's right. Well, the other thing is I'd like to see that as it pertains to the parking because of the 10-foot setback and the islands that he's talking about.
Mhm. And I could find nothing in our regulations that would allow us some discretion on that, the way that they.
A
were
waiver
written.
provision.
So, I don't think there's any waiver provision, but I would urge staff to take a look at that, please.
So you want us to draft the motion?
Yeah, the resolution.
Right, draft a motion for us, resolution, whatever. And
And you could have it the week before.
and those stipulations could be there that the plan satisfy those requirements.
And you can modify that however you like.
Okay.
Okay. And then, oh, and then the final item of business is the zoning regulation changes for 25-1. Is there newer text than we had in May?
I sent you,
I did
text dated
somehow.
June 21st.
June 21st, is that what you said?
No, I
I could only find the stuff from May.
have many 24, it's the last one I had.
Because I went through all my files on this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I thought we did have some ideas about what we wanted to put in for
Conditions?
conditions.
Yeah, on
Um,
page 3.
I was looking at page 1 too.
Well, a lot of these things are put in because they're required by public act.
Right, but the,
We decided
Mhm.
to add, specific, clarifications with regard to things like townhouses, duplex, triplex, and so on. We added those
Mhm.
specifics
mhm.
there. Transit community middle housing is there because it's required. And then the required, additional revisions that I recommended,
Right.
and then those are where the other things were added. I would suggest just take a look at that
hmm
and then decide when you want to.
All right, so this again, if you don't mind, we'll hold until we have more members present.
Sure.
I really don't feel comfortable making this decision when only 3 of us here.
Yeah, well, it's got to go to public hearing. anyway.
And now, why are we defining the townhouse, duplex, triplex, and big 6 and cottage cluster if those are already in the state law? Because they are.
They are, but I thought people wanted to know what they were. We had just had the words there the first time.
Okay.
People said, well, what does this mean? So that it just.
Okay, so that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I just thought, I mean, like, why are we redefining it? But if it makes it easier for people to understand our regulation, then that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, and the no parking requirements for 1 to 16 units is in the state law, so we can't supersede that.
Mhm.
And I think the second part makes sense, but that's also in state law. And then you might want to, you had mentioned considering adopting that town-wide, but let's talk about that in a minute. Again, I might punt on these last ones again because there's only 3 of us here, but the ADU part, I read that section. There was a law in 2021 that got passed, Public Act 2129, and that mandated this. You're right, as of right, you get 1 ADU per approved conforming residential lot. Actually, it doesn't even have to be a conforming lot if it's pre-existing, non-conforming.
That goes into effect November 1st, I believe.
No, that went into effect in 2023.
I think.
Is there an addition or a revision that changes that?
Opt-out section of law.
Right. Has that been rescinded?
No.
Did we opt out?
If you opted out, now what I'm recommending is that this section take the place of that.
So the state law has an opt-out option from 2021. You had to opt out formally before January 1st of 2023. Did we do that?
Yeah.
Okay, if we did that, then our current stands and we don't have to allow one as of right.
Right, that's why it's unrecommended. That's why 13 is recommended.
Oh, okay. Is there a new law? Because I had heard that the state was going to require that you couldn't opt out anymore. But did that pass?
Well, that opt-out portion is passed.
Mm-hmm.
So if you didn't opt out previously, you can't do it now, but
Right.
we did. So that's why in working with the housing committee that we've been working with for 2 years now,
Mm-hmm.
been a lot of discussion about this. So that's why there's a.
All right, that I definitely want to have more people on. The new revision is out and that is section K, not J, right? Feel like I'm in Men in Black.
Are you talking about our regulation?
Yeah,
It's currently mislabeled, that's correct.
I
Well,
thought there's a
we-
revision out.
We just.
Oh, we haven't accepted, we haven't formally adopted that revision yet, so.
We found in the minutes that they did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they changed the J and the K and the.
All right.
No, this is
We're just mislabeled.
No, there were several redundantly labeled sections, like there were 3 couplets of G, where 2 sections were labeled G under the
And the
same.
commission voted to.
Yes, right, to make this,
revise it.
that's right. Yes, we did that, so.
The draft should be out this week.
Yes. So the one thing, I guess, this really, I would argue that if we want to seriously entertain this as an addition to our regulations, that probably deserves a public hearing to get the sense of what the town
Well,
wants.
that's
pretty
absolutely-
hard.
yeah, absolutely.
Because that's a big change, frankly. That's saying that you get one as of right. And right now you have to get a special permit so your neighbors get notified. People can come and sound off.
We're saying notify them anyway. even,
Yeah.
it's a matter of right.
That was a discussion last time. People were concerned about that.
Mhm.
So we added in the notification to neighbors.
Oh, I see.
Next
Mhm.
page.
Oh, I didn't see that somehow.
Yep, it's been a while trying to figure out how to figure out all the comments, and I believe that covered all the comments that we had last time.
Right. And then if a neighbor objects, we can invoke a public hearing. Okay.
Right.
That I might be comfortable with, because that does give public input from the people who are going to be most
Yeah, I
affected.
think
And that was a
that's what I
concern.
said at the end of the discussion last time, that would help.
And I do,
Nancy brought up that.
yeah, and I do think it does make sense to make it easier to put in an ADU, because it is an affordable housing unit that is easy to get. And it's often a good way to keep a senior in town. So, all right, so I'm not going to waste a whole lot more time going over these if we're going to punt these to when we have more people on the committee. But thank you for the updated version. I like them.
One other thing, I was looking at this, it's gonna be something for next meeting too, concerns about, putting in some affordability. Did we talk about before about, putting in like an affordability of 20% or 10%?
I think
Of the
that,
units have to be affordable, or do we say that because of the nature of these types of housing units, it really would meet that definition?
8-30G now talks about 10%. But all that really does is it means that once you leave 10%, and we're very low, we're like 1%. Then 8-30G doesn't apply anymore.
Mhm.
Coming because of the new legislation that passed 25-1 is that the Council of Governments, in this case, GROG, our case, will be putting together what's called a housing growth plan. And for this area, it will actually be coming out in end of the year. And things will be coming out by the end of the year. Doesn't have to be adopted in this region until 2029.
Okay.
But still trying to get a head start on all that. Hopeful.
Plus, transit community middle housing has a very explicit definition right now.
Right, it does.
And it does have an affordability gate in it.
I think that the transit community housing, middle housing, can be in any non-residential areas, commercial areas. The line we have to walk is that we don't have a lot of commercial area in town. There's some, but I think we want to be careful about how much housing we put in the commercial area because of that, rather than where we want to see it. This gets into the whole plan of development. Talk about that.
Well, but one side of this is complying with state law, and the other side of this is that.
What you want.
Yeah. And so, but I mean, the transit community middle housing is a specific thing in that law. It's pretty well defined and pretty explicitly defined. And I do remember there being affordability toggles in there that you had to meet.
There's a definition of it, but it doesn't say, there's no specific percentages. Really what 25-1 is to create housing. It's not really aimed at affordable housing.
Just to create, huh?
Increase
Okay.
supply.
Okay, then the other thing that, I'm just looking at the conditions that we had suggested. And I guess I'm kind of concerned, I'm always concerned about density. I know, for Bethany, density is really determined by, how the wells are going to be situated and what the land can handle septic, but we may want to think about defining a density for this as one of the concerns on page 3, design characteristics, that they maybe for our discussion, if that makes sense.
Density is a tough thing to define.
Yeah, but it could be so many, like say each unit is 1,200 feet. It could be X number of 1,200, average 1,200 square foot unit per acre, per 2 acres, whatever, something of that, of that concentration. Because we wouldn't want, like for example, what we looked at tonight, there's, I don't know how many acres of B&I behind that would be perfect place. And you could see if it worked out, you could see buildings there that maybe a bit too dense for that that situation.
Something in the future will be really important to talk about lot sizes, and that's sort of back into the density characteristic, but kind of to get to an appropriate minimum lot size. And that has to be obviously well and septic related.
Well, that's also going to then depend on the lot, on the qualities of the lot.
Soil.
Yeah. Because you can fit, you get good leaching fields and good water supply deep, you can put a lot of density on a lot. You have something with very poor soil or a lot of ledge, you could be in trouble.
Well, it could be done a different way, a number of different ways. Get into it, they'll respect later on, but they're community septic systems, which can work out very well if they're properly sited as well.
Now, has I'm sorry I missed the meeting on Monday night. I was prepared for tonight's meeting. But has the housing subcommittee have an opinion or thoughts about this, or are they voicing it through you, Hiram?
I don't want to speak for them, but
Okay.
they did say that they'd like to come to the commission when it's addressed.
Okay.
To discuss their.
I'm just making sure they're included. as
Okay, well, they're always welcome to come to the hearing. They're the public, I mean. Okay, we can do that, but we'll have to set that and notice it. Yeah, but we can do that. I mean, because these are interesting ideas and there's a lot here to work on, and we can form things around these nodes of these little seed crystals, if you will. But we do need to proceed carefully and make sure we take into account what the town wants. As much as I like the idea of having ADUs easier to establish, there are people who don't want them popping up everywhere. And I think we need to listen to all those voices. So, all right, I got nothing left on the agenda.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So if this review that put together, was this from the housing commission or was it?
No, it was extracted from the recently passed public act 25-1. Yeah.
Yeah.
Special session, the one that the governor originally did not sign.
Right.
And they had a special session. These are things that are in that legislation that specifically required.
Yeah.
The town put in their regular.
Right.
I can send you a copy of the bill if you want.
Okay.
The act.
Is that 8002?
It's 8002,
Well,
but it's the formally adopted act is 21 SSS 21 or 25-1, and that you can also find on the ct.gov website. But that's the official act.
Summary of that bill, or is it in the plan?
the very small portion of that bill's 104 pages.
Right.
This is just small sections that are required, that our towns are required to adopt into their regulations. The deadline in bill says July 1st, when they were supposed to be adopted, but many towns are working on that now. So that's what.
I mean, no town in Scrog has adopted it yet that I'm aware of.
Sorry to interrupt, the water source officer, fire department, Mike Sullivan's on the meeting. He texted me to ask if public refused because they were town officer to make a comment on what. He was asking if he could make a comment.
I mean, he's the water officer for the town. And pursuant to stuff we've discussed, yeah, let him make a comment.
Hi,
Not a,
can you hear me? I'm not sure.
yeah,
This is my first time doing it via Zoom, so I had submitted my stuff to Kirk. I know you guys have kind of addressed that about 15 minutes ago or so. It's a lengthy document. I know it needs to go to public hearing. I agree, it probably needs its own hearing. You've got a lot of stuff before you, and to give the commission time to digest it and to address everything in there. Basically what I did, and I'm working with other folks in the department, is our stuff scattered through like 3 different sections of subdivision regulations and different stuff. And it's antiquated and really needed to be updated. So there's not a lot of change. It just kind of puts everything together in one spot. The most major changes are like adding bonding, and there's currently no mechanism for myself or the fire marshal to do technically like an inspection on there and stuff. So one of the biggest sections that would probably have a question isn't necessarily the bonding, it's the zoning commission delegating authority, not responsibility, the authority for myself or whoever's in the WSO position and the fire marshal to inspect these tanks, oversee their installation, et cetera, and then report back to the commission and let the commission decide to accept the tank and et cetera from there. So there's some
Okay,
stuff
I'm
that's
gonna
pretty
cut you
important.
off now because this is now turning into a discussion of business before the commission,
Oh,
and
I'm sorry. Yeah.
that should be at a public hearing.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you to repeat all that when we have
Sure.
the public.
Yeah. Happily.
And because we can't be having off-book discussions where people aren't noticed that it's going to be discussed, and this did
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Close the
Totally.
item. Okay, so I didn't know what you wanted to say or how deep it was going to go. That's why I let you speak, but
Okay.
I-
Yeah, no, if we could just schedule a public hearing like in the middle of September, that would be a special meeting and gives the commission time to have your other public hearings and then have
So I-
adequate time to digest it. I think that would be appropriate. That way we can,
that is not.
that would be my only comment. Sorry.
Okay, I appreciate that, because that is a request to have it as a special hearing, and that is not something that necessarily needs to be decided at a public hearing. So we will take that into consideration.
All right. Thank you. That's all I got.
Anyone else? No, we're good. All right, it's not a public hearing at this point. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second? All right, all those in favor, leave.
Aye.
Good job.
Yeah, that was, I needed to hear what he wanted to say, because I didn't know.